So let's do examples 3 and 4, and then I'll let you guys choose on the back if we want to see any more, and then we'll move on to word problems. So for 3, how would we start solving that? Distribute the -2. We have 7x minus 2x plus 8 is less than or equal to -2. And then our next step, combine like terms, are 7x minus 2x to get 5x. And then get rid of 8 by subtracting. And when we divide, does the sign change? No, it's going to stay the same. So x is less than or equal to -2. Go ahead and graph that. Will that be open or closed? Closed. Closed. Going to the left or to the right? Right. Interval notation, where does that start? Negative infinity. So parentheses, negative infinity. Where does that end? -2, but because this is closed, we need a square bracket, not a parenthesis.
So one side should be like a parenthesis and the other one should be a bracket?
That depends on the problem, but for this specific problem, yes. Other questions on that one? Okay. For number 4, let's go ahead and solve that one. Distribute the -8. Be careful with your signs. Combine your like terms. Get rid of 8 by subtracting. And when we divide, is the sign going to change? Yes. Not only the direction of the sign, but also the symbol is going to be now greater than or equal to positive. It's okay. Focus. Yeah, go for it. Alright, so go ahead and graph that.
How do you -9?
If we combine these two, for subtracting, that'd be -8 minus 1. Would that be open or closed? Closed. Going to the left or to the right? To the right. Alright, interval notation, where does that start? Or would it be parenthesis or bracket?
Bracket.
Bracket. Square bracket, or where does it end?
It doesn't.
Infinity, it keeps going. Good. Questions on that?
Wait, why do we have to use a square bracket?
So, in the rules up here, we're either using parentheses or square brackets, and because this one is closed, we have to use a square bracket. If it was open, we'd be using parentheses.
So you use both when it's closed?
Both symbols. For this objective only. When we talk about the next objective, we may only be using brackets, only be using parentheses if one of the iPads is going off. Can you figure out which one that is? This happened yesterday, and I had to figure out which one it was. Other questions on that? On the back, let's find any questions you want to see. Do go over, have questions about. It may take you a second. It took me like a couple minutes to figure out which one it was. Also, don't know if it was any of you, but please do not set alarms on these iPads, or we will no longer be using them. Did anyone have any questions on this page? All
Your
of
numbers-
these, what?
No, no.
All of these are with variables on both sides. So how we solve the multi-step equations, we would do the same thing here. Thank you, Thomas. What number was that? Do you know? 15, okay. So we can pick and choose what we want to move to the other side. What do we want to move here?
Plus 1.
Barza, what did you say? The x was on 2, okay. So if we move 2x to the other side, we're going to move 1 back. So we get 8x is less than 8. Divide both sides by 8. So x is less than 1. Go ahead and graph that. Would that be open or closed?
Open.
Open, going to the left or to the right? Okay. Interval notation, where does that start? Negative infinity. It keeps going to the left. And then where does that end?
It's positive.
Would that be parenthesis or bracket?
Oh, why did the difference?
Because of the open circle. So let's do one more of these. You guys
Sorry.
That's okay.
and right, 10 just has a lot more going on. Distribute on both sides. Negative 3x minus 3 minus 2x is greater than negative 4x plus 8 minus 2.
How do you do it so fast?
I do math all day, guys.
Right, come on.
Combine my terms. What do we want to move?
5 negative.
So I heard 4, but I'm going to show you an example where it's back. I think we did this, but just so you see it while you're solving. I'm going to move 5 instead. If you still want to move 4, go for it. And subtract 6. So if you can read it like this, read it backwards, and graph it like this, that's fine. But if that confuses you, you can take the whole thing and flip it. Whatever this is pointing to or away from, make it the same. So if I flip the whole thing, it would be x is less than negative 9. You would graph it like this, or read it backwards, x is less than negative 9. It would not be pointing towards the right, it would be pointing towards the left. So be careful if you leave it like this so you don't graph it the wrong way. How would the interval notation look?
Negative 9.
Wait, why'd you switch it?
You don't have to.
Me.
You could leave it. But if this looks better, if it looks nicer, you can switch it. Negative infinity, parentheses, to
Negative 9.
negative 9, parentheses or bracket.
Parentheses.
I can't even know any sign. I just keep making it 8.
So if you get confused, look at your graph, look at it left to right. Do you have any questions on how we solve multi-step inequalities?
No.
How do we feel about solving multi-step inequalities? Good, okay, need more practice. I don't understand, not okay.
It's pretty easy actually.
Go on to the next page.
I feel like
Pretty open. symbol, set up the equation, set up the inequality, and solve it. I'm waiting for this to load. Great. Here are common inequality words that you will see. Go ahead and write these down. So while you're writing these down, I'll give you some examples. At least is greater than or equal to. So if I said I want to make at least $50 for the day when I go grpahing. I want to make $50. If I make more than that, that's great, but my goal is $50. At most is less than or equal to. I have at most 30 desks in here. I have 30 desks. I don't have more than that, but I could have less than that. No more than and no less than are opposites of what they say. So no more than is less than or equal to. Similar to at most, I have no more than $10 to spend at the store. I can't spend more than what I have. More than is greater than, less than is just less than. No less than is greater than or equal to. I have no less than 25 students. I have at least 25 students in here, but I could have more. When you see the words less than for your inequalities, that is just your inequality symbol, not subtraction, unless you see it twice. Then it's both. Or if you see it with another symbol, another set of words. So we're going to do the two on the front page, and we'll do one more, and then you'll have time to practice. So let's read through this first one and find important information. Keith has $500 in a savings account at the beginning of the summer. He wants to have at least $200 at the end of the summer. He withdraws $25 per week for food, clothing, and movie tickets. How many weeks can Keith withdraw money from his account? What's important there?
$500 in a savings account.
$500. Something about 200.
At least.
At least. The word at least. Okay. What else?
He withdraws $25 per week for food. And you don't have to highlight that.
I guess.
And then, how many weeks can Keith withdraw money from his account?
I had a student that spent last summer in the movie theater because of all the movies, so possible. Okay, so after we've found all the important information, let's define a variable. Look at your question. That will still help you define your variable. We're looking for a number of weeks. So that can be like W. And then let's talk about at least. That's which inequality symbol? Greater than or equal to. What's nice about your inequality words is whatever number is attached to those words is going to be like your total or what goes after that. So we know it's going to be greater than or equal to 200. Then we have to look at the rest of this. So we know he has 500. What operation would be withdrawal? Subtraction, not divided, but subtraction. And then if we have $25 per week, that per is going to tell us to multiply with our variable. So how could we set up this inequality?
25W minus 500.
Close. It is going to be 25W, but we're not subtracting the 500. We are subtracting, but we're not subtracting 500. There we go. We're subtracting the 25W from the 500 because that's how much he has, and we're subtracting 25 from it each week. Then we can solve for W. Go ahead and do that. The sign does change, correct? And we would get,
What is the solution?
divided by a negative.
Okay.
Should be positive. Well, if you get negative numbers in your word problems, double check your answers because something's off. But that would be 12 weeks. So we could say if he spends or if he withdraws money for 12 weeks or less, he will have at least $200. But if he goes over that 12 weeks, he will not have $200. You can check yourself just like you would for multi-step equations. Put 12 back in, but when you put it back in, it just has to be true. So if this is greater than 200, or if it equals 200, then it would be true. But if it doesn't, if it's lower, then it would not be true. What was your question?
Wouldn't the sign be flipped?
Yes, it did.
It did. Oh, I didn't see that part.
Other questions on that? Alright, let's do number 2. A taxi charges a flat rate of $1.75 plus an additional 65 cents per mile. If Erica has at most $10 to spend on the cab ride, how far could she travel? What's important there to look? Flat rate of $1.75
At most.
plus the 65 cents per mile, at most $10, and we're looking for how far could you travel?
At most is less than or equal to.
Okay, good. Let's start with the variable first. So, how far could she travel is talking about distance. This specific amount of distance is in miles, so we can say M, sure, or number of miles. Shine said that this is less than or equal to, that was correct. So we know this is going to be less than or equal to $10. And then let's figure out the rest. So the word plus is literally a plus. And then the 0.65 per mile, we're going to multiply. So how would we set up that inequality? Plus 65, whatever your variable is, yep. And let's solve that. If you put 65m, 0.65m plus 175, that's also fine. What is M? It is a decimal. Okay. So if you get a decimal, you need to think about, could this be a decimal? So like if we had gotten decimals for weeks, weeks could be decimals. There could be like half a week, a quarter of a week, but that one is really whole numbers. But for this, could miles be decimals? Yes. But in this case, we want this to be exact, so you can either leave it like this or just put 12.69. But that means if she goes over that, if she goes 12.7 miles, she will go over her $10. It has to be exact. If you get something where you get a decimal and it shouldn't be a decimal, then you have to round. And you have to think about, could I round up or down? Do you have any questions on this one? Look at the last three on the back. And find one you want to see if you go over.
Number 4.
4, sure. Fifth and second period did number 5. If you want to go to those class recordings and watch that video to see that example. Number 4, pet supplies make a profit of $5.50 per bag on its line of natural dog food. If the store wants to make a profit of no less than $5,225, how many bags of dog food does it need to sell? What's important there? $5.50 per bag. No less than $5,225. And how many bags? Right, so what do we want our variables to be? Short. For what? What would that represent?
Number of bags.
Number of bags. If you want to be more specific, you put number of bags of dog food. You don't need to do all that. No less than is which symbol?
That is greater. Wait.
Greater than or equal to is always opposite of what it says. Nope, 5. 2, 3, 5. Here we go. And then $5.50 per bag. How would we write that?
Just
$5.50 each. Yep. And divide. Now, if we're looking for number of bags, we really don't want to sell half a bag, so we could we round this up or down?
It's not.
So if we made 10, or if we sold 10, they would make their profit. But if we only sold 9, they would not make their profit. So you have to think about that. If you're not sure, you could take both numbers and put them back in and see which one would give you the answer. So if you put 9 in here, that would be less than your total profit. If you put 10 in here, it would be more than, and that would work.
What if I put like 11 in?
That would be too much rounding. So don't over round.
Bags?
So you guys don't have much time left, but use at least the next 15-ish minutes to do one of the following. You can either work on either of the Delta Maths that are due on Friday on this, multi-step, inequalities, or linear word problems. You can grab an iPad, use your laptops, work with each other. You can keep working on the SOL packet. Remember that is due Monday. Or you can keep working in these notes doing the practice.
It's a grade, right? That's what we'll find.
It's an informative grade, but yes.
What happens if I like drop it in the water? Would I get a 0?
You mean after you dry it and you can't write on it or throw it away or
Like just like speaking hypothetically. Like what if I couldn't write on it anymore? And when I like
because you already tried to dry it or you asked for another one?
yeah.
There's no real out, so yes, if you lose it or don't have it, it's a 0 for the day and then we'll
That's interesting.